Okay. Muy bienvenidos a clase otra vez. Y hoy vamos a hablar del participios pasados. And if you remember, we talked about participios presentes earlier this year, even into last year. We talked about how to say I am doing something right now, right? So for example, we would have, let me use my little estoy. We'll just write it here. Estoy comiendo un sandwich. Right now, I am eating a sandwich. Right, so that was how we used these. We use these words to talk about things that were happening in the present, but today we're going to kind of switch gears and we're going to talk about things that were happening in the past. So the first thing we need to do is we need to we needed to define what estar means. So if you remember, estar is one of the ways that we can say to be in Spanish, and then just kind of going from that, we need to conjugate it. So we have estoy. We have estás. Let me make this lowercase too. Estoy, estás. We have está next. Remember, these have accent marks on everything except for yo and nosotros. Estamos. We're going to skip vosotros and then están finalmente. So this is the way that we're going to use these participles with the verb estar. Just like we did in the present tense, we're going to still be doing this in the past tense. So the past participle is used with estar to describe conditions that are the result of a previous action, right? And basically that's just a long way of saying, in English we would say like the door is open, or the window is broken, or we would say the book is read, or the papers have been graded, right? So anything that's changed, that's the condition part because of a previous action. So we have formation of the past participle, and this is the really simple part, okay? This is just like when we talked about in the present tense, we talked about ando y yendo. This is the most simple part. So anytime that we have an AR verb, right? That's AR verbs. We form these participles by taking off the AR, or we can even say ending, the AR or the ending from the infinitive and adding ado, not ando, ado, right? So, for example, we have the verb hablar, which means to talk. So to walk you through kind of what that process looks like, we have hablar. We're going to drop the ending off. Let me do like this. Ab. And then we're going to add back that participle ending, which is ado. So hablado. Hablado. So we're going to drop the AR. We're going to change it to ado. Hablado. Cantar, which means to sing. We're going to take the ending. We're going to drop that ending off. And then we're finally going to add cantado. Cantado. Preparar, you can pretty much figure out what that guy means. Prepar. And then finalmente tenemos preparado. Preparado. Right? Preparado. And basically what these words mean is they change from being to speak. For example, we have hablar here, and instead of to speak, we have spoken. Sing, to sing, sung. Prepare, to prepare, prepared. Right? Okay, let's keep going. The past participle for ER and IR verbs is formed by taking off the, once again, we're going to say ER or the IR. Sorry, I'm going to say ending. Move that up just a little bit. And then we're going to add ido for these. ido. That's how we're going to change these to make them into participles. So, for example, we have salir, which means to leave. We're going to take that ending off. We're going to have the word sal, or the root word sal. And then finally we have salido. Salido. And that's going to be the way that we form that word. Okay, comer means to eat. Comer. Take the ending off. And then we're going to add comido. Comido. Okay. The only thing you need to remember here is that we're adding ido to both er and ir verbs. So it doesn't matter if it's er or ir. We're just going to be adding that ido to both of them. Okay. So this would become, instead of to leave or to go out, we're going to say salido is went, and then comer, to eat. It becomes eaten, right? Eaten. Okay, so when past participles are used with a star, they must agree with the noun that is being modified. Noun that is being modified. So, for example, we have, we oftentimes talk about, we're going to say, or let's add this to it, number, and gender. Right, so depending on whether it's a masculine noun or a feminine noun, we need to make sure that it agrees with number and gender. Okay, so let's go ahead and do these together really quickly. And I'll kind of show you what I mean. So, for example, the first one we have, the door is closed. So, the first thing we need to know is la puerta is the door. Okay, now I have one thing or multiple things in my subject. Well, obviously I have one thing, right, because the door is one item. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to say, okay, so I know I have one thing, so that's going to be está. I'm just going to do it like that, but just know it has an accent mark. Está. And then closed, right? So that's going to be the verb cerrar, to close. So how am I going to change cerrar to be a participle? Well, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the AR. So it's going to be ser. And then because it's AR, I know I'm going to add ado to it. So cerrado. Right? Now, you may think to yourself, well, I can just leave it like that. It's totally fine. That's the word I'm supposed to use. But actually, we need to do one more thing. La puerta is a feminine noun. So I actually need to go back and say cerrada. Because anytime I have a feminine noun, I need to make sure that my participle agrees with it, right? So it's one door, it's one feminine door, has a one feminine participle. Okay, let's go to the next one. So las puertas, we know that one from the last sentence. Las puertas están, because we have more than one puerta. We had está here because we have one puerta, están here because we have more than one puerta. Están cerrada, we're going to use that same word. Now, I'm going to pause here because I want you to think about what we should do in this instance. What is one thing that we need to do to make sure this sentence is correct? Absolutely. I'm going to say that someone said we need to add an S, and that's perfect. Las puertas están cerradas because we have multiple puertas. We have feminine puertas, so we need to use cerradas. Okay, going on to the next part. The food is prepared. La comida is the food. We're going to use está because we have one thing, right? The food is one thing, so we're going to use está. And then we can actually go back up to the top of this sheet and say preparar here, to prepare. So we're going to use preparar. Okay, I'm going to drop the ending, and then I'm going to add ado. And there's actually one more thing we need to do here, which is change that O to an A because it's la comida. La comida está preparada. Okay, the words are spoken. The words are las palabras. Okay, now las palabras, more than one thing or one thing? Absolutely, it's two things, or more than one thing, I should say. It's more than two. Están is going to agree with that. Están, spoken. So We can use the word hablar here, which is probably what I would do, or you can actually use the word decir here as well, but we haven't actually covered that one yet, so let's use hablar. So hablar, las palabras están hablar. We need to change that to a participle. So we're going to take the AR off. We're going to add ADO because that's how we make a participle. And we are going to change this to agree with the thing that's at the beginning of the sentence. So we have las palabras. We have multiple things. Now we need to add an S. And then there's one more thing I need to do. And that is change that O to an A. Right? Because we have las palabras, which are feminine things, and they are habladas. Okay? So, couple, I say a couple, but really it's more than a couple. We have a few more things to go over, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to kind of break this down into multiple videos. So, for now, just be looking for the first part here. I'm going to give you a worksheet to be doing this with. And then, yeah. You guys, if you have any questions, let me know. I will see you on the flip side.